People say that the Mediterranean Sea is the source of inspiration for the people of Morocco. The golden Sahara Desert makes them tenacious, and the ancient city, located on the boundary of the two sacred territories, is the home of the Moroccan people's spirit. As we pass through the Atlas Mountains, which separate the southwestern coast of the Mediterranean and the Sahara Desert, we see the long wall of an ancient city. The magnificent wall with its ancient design seems to proclaim that we are arriving in the ancient city of Fez, an Islamic center of learning and a commercial center held to be the source of Moroccan culture. Opposite the new city of Fez, the old town of Fez, so synonymous with the ancient past of North Africa, sits peacefully in a narrow valley in a world that seems to transcend time and space. This is a city of long winding streets, and they're lined with white houses, solemn mosques, and luxurious palaces. It is only when we gain an overall view of Fez that we come to understand why this is the first ancient Moroccan city to be included in UNESCO's World Heritage List. But how has the ancient city of Fez, surrounded by and impacted upon by the modern world, been able to retain its own identity? What kind of life do its people lead today? Here, cars and donkeys are mixed together in what the local people call the last forbidden sight. We are outside the splendid city gate called Bab Bou Jeloud. On the other side is the old area known as the Medina, the part of the city that helped make Fez world famous. Our interpreter Abdullah explains that the word Medina refers to an Arabian colony in an Islamic city. He adds that the Medina in Fez is regarded as the best preserved such colony in the Arab world. As we follow Abdullah through the city gate, we feel as if we are moving back in time. We bid goodbye to the busy 21st century and enter a legendary world with its own medieval Arabian castle. A striking feature of this city, and one that has remained unchanged for 1,000 years, is its labyrinth of long, narrow paths and alleyways. The air is full of sound. The clatter of donkey hooves merges with the striking of craftsmen's hammers and the melodious chanting emanating from mosques. Then, of course, there's the aromas. The fragrance of mint tea meets with the smell of leather and bronze.
Nice to meet you.
While making our way down a winding street, we reach an office building. Abdullah tells us that based here is an agency set up by the Moroccan government in 1989 to save and protect historical relics in the old city of Fez. Here, we can find the most authoritative expert on Medina.
La première ville était composée, était entourée, les deux quartiers étaient entourés de remparts et comprennent beaucoup de maisons, des équipements urbains et bien sûr chacun des quartiers comprend une mosquée de vendredi. Les deux villes ont été réunies au XIe siècle par les Almoravides. Ils étaient réunis en une seule cité désignée par la ville de Fez.
In the year AD 808, Idris II, the second king of the first Moroccan dynasty, wished to establish a new Muslim kingdom. He chose this narrow valley with its ample supply of water and lush pastures for the site of his new city. While digging the foundations for the new city, a golden axe was unearthed. The Arabic word for axe is Fez, and so the city was named. Over a relatively short period of time, the city of Fez, standing as it did at the crossroads of the route from the Mediterranean and Africa and the road from eastern Maghreb to the Atlantic, rose in power. It reached the zenith of its influence from the 14th to the 17th centuries. However, Mouchin tells us that most of the grand building complexes that best represented Old Fez have long disappeared. Early next morning, we walked to a part of old Medina lined densely with craftsmen's shops. It is said that the layout of the city, which has remained untouched for 1,000 years, has shaped the local people's unique way of life. To the sound of clanging tools, the old district of Medina presents us with scenes that seem to have been lifted out of the Middle Ages.
Yes, this one.
What's that?
Yes, it's for carrying the bride during the marriage party, the wedding.
Wedding.
Okay? So they are holding the bride. Okay, on the shoulders, 4 men, 4 people holding it and carrying on their shoulders. So this is how they make celebrate the Moroccan shows.
这边还有，来看看这边。
那边也是啊。
这是一个金色的轿子，
特好看。
真漂亮。
It's handmade.
哦，全是手工的，
Yes.
纯手工的。这个地方看来，这个手工是非常棒的。
Medina was built within the city of Fez in the 9th century. To build the city, highly skilled artisans were recruited. As the country was thriving at the time, craftsmen made their way to Fez from all over the Middle East. Here there are shops of every kind. There are blacksmiths, coppersmiths, silversmiths, and masons. All of these crafts have survived the passage of time. These days, tourism flourishes in the old city, and visitors are especially interested in local products made out of leather.
Yellow color, coplico color, natural color. All handmade, no machine made here. All people, family. All people here, family. Okay.
How many vats here? How many?
Maybe 300, 270.
大概300多这样的染缸在这里。
Yellow you work leather from shoes, slipper. هذه natural color. Natural color.
Natural. 他
Natural.
说是很自然的一种颜色。
هذا تاع natural color.
Natural.
هذا شكاع يطلب بالانجليزي.
Why we use this?
Yes.
It's a bird rubbish. Yes.
Yes.
But why we put this? Where?
Here.
Yeah, the bird.
Yes. نستعملوه باش كيرطب الجلد تا هو الا كان الجلد ضعيف تيردو بحال اللي كياكل الجلد وكيولي ملحم.
哦，
Here.
染的
This
过程
place.
当中会放入一些鸟粪。他刚才说了，说这样可以使皮子更加软和。
Unable to restrain our curiosity, we decide to have a look at the dyeing house.
Alpha, could you tell me? It's like a washing machine.
Washable machine. Maybe another one here. Washable machine. This washable. This after washable.
OK， 可是刚才那些是刚洗过的，现在又要放进去很多的皮子，非常传统的一种洗衣机，特殊的为这个洗皮子来用的。How many pieces can put inside? How many?
Maybe 200, maybe 200, 250, 150. يقول على حسب صناعي وش عنده.
我问他刚才就是这里面可以一次洗多少张皮子，他说200多张，主要取决于这个皮子的大小，或者如果太小的话可以更多。刚才那个阿里巴巴告诉我啊，他说在他的工厂里一共呢有4种皮，山羊皮、绵羊皮，还有骆驼皮，还有一种是牛皮。但是这边呢，现在我们看到的是2种，一种是山羊皮，还有一种是绵羊皮，只有2种。
As we walk through the workshop, we see the same types of leather bags and hats we saw earlier in the shops being completed on a kind of assembly line. But the only modern pieces of equipment on this assembly line are the old washing machine and a few sewing machines. Ali Baba proudly tells us that all leather goods made in Fez are produced using traditional processes only, from the tanning of the hide to the finished product. The strict use of traditional technology in Fez guarantees the quality of its leather products and explains why leather products made in the city are world famous. After showing us around the town, Ali Baba goes back to his shop where a long queue of customers is waiting. Our interpreter tells us that all year round businessmen from all over the world come to Fez to buy leather products, and the business here has always been very good. In recent years, however, Ali Baba's business has become the most prosperous. However, as we see it, the achievements of the hard-working people toiling at the dyeing vats and the hard work of their boss, Ali Baba, cannot be measured in monetary terms alone. Their hopes for life reside on this small area of earth. To them, it is a holy land where they can trace the spirit of their ancestors. As we enter the room, we find the hostess already waiting at the door, and we immediately feel the warmth and hospitality of the people of Fez. One by one, the children bombard us with kisses. We're made to feel we're distinguished guests. The innocent eyes of the children betray some confusion and shyness, but they kiss us regardless. Ali Baba tells us that this is a Fez tradition cultivated from early childhood, and that it will accompany his children as adults wherever they go. After putting on his traditional attire, Ali Baba tells us that 5 years ago a group of Chinese reporters interviewed him, and that afterwards he made sure he could receive CCTV's international channel. He often watches programs in Fez about China with his family. Ali Baba says that China is a friendly country, and the Chinese people, like the people of Fez, have fine traditions. We notice that in the course of our conversation, Ali Baba never strays far from the topic and word, tradition. How does this boss, whose business is a traditional handicraft industry, feel about traditional industries being besieged and placed under pressure by modern industry?
دابا الخراج ديال جوج يباري كاين الماكينه كتمشي ولكن الحاجه ديال راه ما يمكنلاش تموت سواء حتى هما الا كان في بلادهم عندهم شي حاجه بليد راه ما تموتش كذلك حنا عندنا الصنعه ديالنا مازال لحد الان خدامه ولات خدامه احسن من اللي كانت ولات خدامه احسن حيت حتى الناس اللي فيها كيفتكروا كيزيدوها شي حوايج كيدخلوا عليها شي تحسين كيجدوا مابقاوش غاديين حنا عندنا موديلات ديال مثال 1950 ولكن كيتجدوا كل واحد كيجددهم بالفكره الموديل كيبقى ولكن كيتجدد هذا هو علاش الصنعه مازال غاديه.
Ali Baba tells us that mastering traditional techniques takes one only halfway to success. In order to do business in Fez, people have to retain many traditions, and the reason he's successful is because he enjoys a good reputation.
باش انا نجحت في حياتي حاجة واحدة شنو هي؟ أولا المعقول تنكذبش على الناس وما باغيش شي واحد يجيب لي الارتيزانا ديالو ونكذب عليه ونديلو رزقو، يعني تنخدم بواحد الصراحة وتنخدم اللي ديالي واللي الناس راه الناس. هذا هو باش عندي سمعة وكنخدم.
As we hear about Ali Baba's achievements, we come to hold him in even higher esteem. We wonder how this boy who came from the Moroccan mountains to the ancient city of Fez and who worked as an apprentice in a workshop a dozen hours a day was able to rise to become the most successful leather businessman in the city of Fez.
بحال دابا باش نوجد انا ولادي ونكونهم شي تكوين مزيان، يكونوا قاريين مزيان، يكونوا عندهم مناصب مزيانه. هذا هو الهدف، لان اي واحد كيخدم تيدير وليدات تخصو يكون ولادو، تخصو يوجدهم، تخصو يخليهم في واحد البيئه اللي هي ظريفه ومزيانه، تيخلي ما تيتكرفسوش كي يتكرفس هو. هذا هو اللي كيفكر فيه بلان، انه خصو حتى الا تعذب هو خصو يكون ولادو باش يكونوا مزيانين.
In his home, Ali Baba doesn't seem to be the same man we saw in the dying house. If we can say Ali Baba is a smart businessman, we can also say he's a good and kind father. And like any good father, he works hard in the hope that his children will not have to lead the hard life he endured. He will invest for his children, and he will struggle to ensure that they can lead a stable and comfortable life. In Ali Baba's eyes, devotion to the next generation is the dominant tradition of the people of Fez.